Hey Canucks fans, the Canucks are back at practice today after 2 days off, so we'll go over the line combinations and deep pairings, also some roster moves to talk about as well, especially with Thatcher Demko's injury. But before I get into all that, just want to remind you that tonight, for my live stream at 11 p.m. right here on this YouTube channel, I'll be joined by Daniel Wagner of Pass It to Bulis, and he'll be talking about his brand new book, the book that I've been talking about on my live streams, as well as some other things about the Vancouver Canucks. So I hope you join me tonight at 11 p.m. for my live stream. Once again, welcoming Daniel Wagner live of Pass It to Bulis. Let's talk about the roster moves first. The Canucks announced two roster moves. One of them, Arturs Silovs called up to the Vancouver Canucks from Abbotsford on an emergency recall or based on emergency situation. So I'll talk about that. And then Dakota Joshua placed on retroactive LTIR, long-term injury reserve. So let's talk about these two things before we get into how the Canucks practice today. So with regards to Arturs Silovs, the reason why it's emergency recall or emergency conditions, the reason why that's important is teams only have 4 recalls between the trade deadline, which passed last Friday, and the end of the regular season. That's just, I'm not sure why that rule's in there. I guess it's so you just don't keep calling guys up. I don't know, or who knows what the reason is. But you only get 4, and the Canucks have used one of them already. Remember, they sent Vasily Podkolzin down, so he was eligible for the AHL playoffs, and they called him back up on Saturday. So they only have 3 left, and it'd be a shame if they had to use one of those 3 on the goaltender. But because Demko is hurt, as opposed to a call up, just performance based or merit based or whatever it may be, I don't know all the rules, but I do know it was classified as emergency as opposed to regular recall. So the Canucks still have 3 of their 4 regular recalls there, but Silovs is here on an emergency basis. And I expect him to be here for the month of March, unless there's complications sending him back, bringing Tolopilo up. But if as I've talked about extensively, with the light schedule, the 8 games over the next 3 weeks, and no back-to-backs, Casey DeSmith could conceivably start all 8 of those games in the next 3 weeks on this homestand, and therefore you have a backup there. Of course, you need a backup, but maybe Silovs or Tolopilo don't get into a game, especially as the Canucks still try and secure first place in the Western Conference and first overall to secure a home ice advantage for the length of their playoff run. So we'll see what happens, but the biggest thing is Silovs, no surprise, the more polished of the 2 goaltenders in Abbotsford, playing more games. He is up here now as Casey DeSmith's backup as we wait to hear official word about Thatcher Demko's injury, but everyone has been saying 2 to 3 weeks. Everyone's saying knee injury, but we might hear confirmation of that when Rick Tocchet speaks to the media a little bit later today. So that's number 1. Arturs Silovs called up under emergency conditions. Number 2 is Dakota Joshua placed on retroactive LTIR. And I had to chuckle a bit, not because he's on LTIR. We all want Dakota Joshua back as soon as possible. But on February 13th, basically, that's when he got injured, when he had his Gordie Howe hat trick. So 1 or 2 days after that, I talked about the fact that, or maybe it was a week after that, I think my video was February 21st. In my February 21st video, I talked about Dakota Joshua being placed on injured reserve and Carson Soucy being placed on LTIR retroactively. So it's almost ironic that 3 weeks later, now that Soucy is back, I'm talking about Joshua, not IR, but retroactive IR, LTIR, the same thing that I was talking about Carson Soucy 3 weeks ago. So without rehashing every single thing, the reason why it's retroactive LTIR, you're saying, well, why didn't they put Joshua on LTIR before when he got hurt? Well, LTIR, you have to be out a minimum of 10 games in 24 days, as opposed to regular IR, which is just a minimum of 7 days, regardless of how many games. So it makes sense that Joshua was on IR, regular IR, the shorter one. And with IR, you get the roster spot back, but you still, Joshua's salary still counted against the cap. So, of course, the difference between IR and LTIR, not only the difference in time, 7 days versus 24 days and 10 games, with LTIR, you get the roster spot, obviously, but you also get cap relief in terms of that player's salary does not count against the salary cap. So the reason why you don't put someone on LTIR right away is because you think that might come back within the month. So if you're optimistic and there's a chance that you thought Dakota Joshua was not going to have to miss 24 days, then that's why you don't put him on LTIR, because you can't just take him off LTIR just because he gets better miraculously. So that's what you see a lot of teams do. They wait until the 24 days and the 10 games have expired, and then they say, oh, he's not back, he's not healthy, so we'll retroactively put him back on LTIR. Goes back to the date of his injury, so back to February 13th. So yeah, that is 24 days now. It's been a month since then, and so it's past 24 days, and therefore you accrue any cap savings that you would have under the LTIR rules all the way back to February 13th. I know some people are saying, well, why didn't they just do this earlier and use his as a very small cap, only 1 million basically, but why don't you use that in your, kind of do a Vegas Golden Knights circumvention loophole thing, where you just use that money and then for trade purposes, and then bring any healthy players back before the playoffs. I don't think, to me, it didn't really make much of a difference. There wasn't enough money in there to do that. But having said that, Dakota Joshua now on LTIR, retroactive back to February 13th when he got injured. So that means he could still come back anytime. It's been 24 days, it's been 10 games, but I'm not sure if he's skating with the team, so at least he must be at least a week or two out still. However, Tyler Myers is skating with the team, and he was at practice today. And remember, he was just on regular injured reserve, not LTIR. So the perfect example, he's coming back he got hurt on the February 29th leap year game against against LA, but it's only been 2 weeks, and it looks like he might be ready to come back. Maybe not tomorrow against Colorado, but maybe the next game Saturday against Washington. So Myers is back at practice because he was only on IR for that week. So what it looks like now is he's skating on the extra pairing. So he's with Mark Friedman. So the D is still Hughes and Hronek, Soucy and Cole, or Cole and Soucy, Zadorov and Juleson, and then Myers and Friedman are the extra pair. You expect Myers to come in when he's ready, and maybe someone like Juleson sits, but we won't worry about that just yet. Then up front, the same lines. You have Miller, Besser, and Mikheyev, Pedersen, Hoglander, and Suter. Lindholm, Garland, and Podkolzin, our new third line. And then our fourth line who is our fourth line then? It must be PDG. Who am I missing? PDG, Lafferty, and I'm missing someone. PDG, Lafferty, because I know Neal Chark is the extra skater. So what happened to me? Who did I miss, you guys? I just had a massive brain fart. How come I can't figure this out? Let's try this again. It is Besser, Miller, Mikheyev, Suter with PD and Hoglander. Then it is Garland with Joshua and Lindholm. Oh, of course, Blueger. Silly. So Garter, not Joshua. I just talked about him being hurt. I completely lost it. It's Lindholm with Podkolzin and Garland, and the fourth line, of course, is Teddy Blueger in between Phil DiGiuseppe and Sam Lafferty. That's right. Blueger, PDG, and Lafferty, and that makes Neal Chark as the extra skater. So that's the challenge of doing one take wonders. As I don't edit these videos, so you see my brain functioning right in front of you, and sometimes it's not the prettiest thing. So that's basically how I think the Canucks will line up tomorrow against Colorado. It looks like Friedman, Myers, and Oman will be the three extra skaters. Then you, of course, have DeSmith in net, and then Arturs Silovs backing him up. So that's where we're at, Canucks fans. A quick, update. Silovs called up. Joshua placed on LTIR retroactively, but he still could come back in the next couple weeks. And then you have Tyler Myers returning to practice, but skating on the extra pair, so maybe he's a couple practices away. Expect to see him in the lineup on Saturday against the Washington Capitals. But before that, it's the Canucks hosting Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon, and the big, powerful Colorado Avalanche. That's tomorrow night. I won't be going to that game. It's my church night, and it's also Gail's birthday. But it's church night, so I have to be there. But I'll be doing a live stream after the game, of course. But tonight's live stream is with Daniel Wagner, Pass It to Bulis, talking about his new book. I hope you can join me. Shout out to my sponsors, Perform Transform, Personal Training, Weight Loss, and of course, Van City Experts Real Estate. And thank you to legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Carol Bovolando, legendary Andrew Chang, Hall of Fame and franchise members. And thanks to all of you for watching, liking, subscribing. On the way out, you can do those things. You can subscribe, you can like the video, you can leave a tip. you can become a member, you can upgrade your membership, and leave a comment, your thoughts on these roster moves. Silovs, Joshua, and Myers back at practice. Hope to see you tonight at 11 p.m. for my live stream. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. God bless, and go Canucks go.